Sorry, spider. So much grass. Look at all this grass, y'all. Oh my gosh. I've got to come out here and dig all this up. We've got some more okra I need to come out here and pick pretty soon. I usually do coffee, but I'm doing tea this morning. It's pretty good. Okay, it's time to actually get into it, I think. Hey y'all, welcome back to Roots and Arrows Farm. My name is Tori, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, this video that I have for you today is two parts, actually. There's one part that I shot several days ago. And that's going to be the majority of the video, and basically it's going to be telling you to do it scared. And whatever the next thing is for you, I challenge you to do it scared. Now, since I shot that video, I will put another little clip in here because I recently had a panic attack. And this is something that I've never really had before, not in this way. I've had, I guess, mild ones, and I've kind of been able to pull myself out of them. But for this particular one, it's kind of hard to explain, but it felt like my mind was going faster than my body could handle it, and my body kind of went into shock. And it was really scary because I couldn't pull myself out of it. And anyway, my dad ended up helping me, come out of it. But doing it scared, it's not easy, but it is important. And so that's the main message of this video today. And I just wanted to come on here and give a little introduction for it because the video that you're about to see, I had no idea what was going to happen to me in the next day or two, basically. I think it was a day or two later. And yeah, so anyway, just know that you can do it. Pray about it. Trust in God. Trust that He has a purpose and direction that He wants you to go. Because I tell you what, I think it was the day after I had this panic attack, I looked at my Bible, and my Bible cover, it has a Bible verse on it. I believe it's in Jeremiah. And it says something like, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So, it's interesting too, because after this clip that you watch, after the panic attack, after I woke up and I went to read my Bible and I saw that verse on my Bible, and this was like a random, I think it was a random Saturday, June 15th, I want to say it was. So I saw that verse on my Bible cover. Now, that verse on my Bible cover, obviously, it stays there. It's always there. It's a leather Bible case. And I see that all the time. But this particular morning, I really read it. And it said, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to give you a hope and a future, and not to harm you." And what's really interesting to me is that not only did that verse finally stick out to me, but we went out to my aunt's lake house, and we had a little birthday party gathering for my grandmother. And as I'm sitting there in the chair at my aunt's house, I look over and I see her calendar. And she has one of those flip calendars that has a different verse for every day. And the verse for June 15th was Jeremiah 29:11. And that verse sat there and it stared at me, and I read it over and over as I sat in that chair. And I just knew that that was a little bit, I knew that that was from God. Because, I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances that that would be the verse for that day? That I would be sitting there in that chair on that day, having just previously read that verse on my own Bible cover that morning, right after a panic attack, you know, the day before, where I don't know what our future is going to look like for me and the kids. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how long we're going to stay here with my parents. I don't know where we're going to go after that. I don't know if this will be my garden next year. My dad might have this garden back, and this is my only season here. You know, the chicken coop that we're putting in over here might not be my chicken coop next year. It might not be my chicken coop in 6 months. Nothing about our life right now is permanent. Granted, most people can say that, but for me, it's a little scary. If I were on my own, then I could just, you know, kind of figure it out, but I have 4 little lives that are depending on me figuring it out. And that, alongside so many other things, my body just didn't know how to handle it. If you feel confused or stressed out or even mad, you can take it to God and you can lay it down at His feet, because He does care and He does listen and He does want a conversation with you. Now, I can't tell you when I became a Christian. I don't know exactly. I do know that I was very young, probably somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. I do remember the preacher who I spoke with and who baptized me. And I remember the church that I was in. I grew up in that church. I remember all of those things, but I also remember feeling really lost through my teenage years, through my early 20s. But when I found out that I was going to be a mom, everything changed for me. That is when I really started journaling. I would journal my prayers. I would talk to God. I would pray. But beyond prayer, I would literally just talk to God, like, throughout my day. And I had that conversation back and forth for many, many years. And then somewhere between we're going to separate and divorce, and now, between those 2 points, I kind of stopped. I didn't lose faith necessarily, but I stopped journaling. I stopped praying deep prayers, you know. I would still say my blessing over my food, but that's not quite the same thing. I put the phone down, you know, in a conversation. When you're talking, like on the phone, for example, and you hold the phone out so you can't really hear the other person, I feel like maybe that's sort of what I did. And I'm ready to put the phone back to my ear. That sounds so weird. sounds like such a weird analogy, but it's true. It's true. Anyway. Okay, so there you have it. Hey guys, welcome back to Roots and Arrows Farm. My name is Tori, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a mom to 4 kids, and we are just starting our adventure of growing our new farm here in South Carolina. I did grow up in South Carolina. My mom and dad live here. And me and the kids are currently living with my mom and dad as I navigate divorce. It's not something that I like to talk about very often, but that is the case. That is the boat that we're in right now. So that's a little bit about who I am. I'm so glad that you are here with us. It is about 8 o'clock at night, and I am currently just walking through our garden and seeing what's growing, what needs to be harvested, probably in the morning, and what needs to be planted out. But the garden is actually not what I want to talk to you about today. Today, I have on my heart to share about dreaming. And that's partly why I wanted to start with a little bit about who I am. Now, if you've been around for a while, then you already know that we used to live in England. My kid's dad is from England. And that, you know, I just said that we're going through a divorce, so me and the kids are here. We recently got our first chickens. We are planning to build a coop for those chickens pretty soon, which is good because I actually have about 12 black copper Morans that are hatching right now. I might actually try to sell off those black copper Morans. I don't know yet. Just noticed that something has eaten one of my squash plants over here, so that's great. Mint is growing everywhere. Okay, sorry y'all. I do get sidetracked, but what I want to talk to you guys about is dreams. I remember a time in my life when I was sitting in our living room in England, and I had a neighbor on either side of our house, and our backyard was extremely small. I did try to grow a garden in our backyard. Actually, I think I filmed that. If you look at previous videos on this channel, you'll see that I did have a garden in growing bags, and that's sort of where this idea of YouTube started to bloom. So I started filming myself going out in the mornings and opening up the greenhouses, and I think it actually might have started before that on Instagram. I was posting pictures. Hi, kitty cat. I was posting pictures of the things that I was starting in the greenhouses. Found one of my kids' water bottles. Anyway, I remember looking through cookbooks and wishing that I knew how to cook more things from scratch. I remember crying when I saw people on YouTube and they were bringing home their chickens, or they were bringing home their cows or pigs or what have you. And I remember thinking, that's never gonna happen for me, you know? I had my husband, I had my kids, and I loved our life for the most part, except, did I? When I think about my kids and I think about the kind of life that I want them to have, and I think about how my son has told me since he was 2 that he wanted to be a farmer, or how my daughter loves to hold baby chickens. I mean, she loves to hold the baby chicks. I think about how much I love to cook from scratch. I think about how much I want to work from home, how much I want to have animals again, and I just want to come on here and tell you that if you're dreaming right now and you think that it's not possible, think again. God is bigger than anything we could possibly imagine. friend remind me this past weekend that fear does not come from God. Bravery in the face of fear, courage in the face of fear, those things come from God. And sometimes you just have to do it afraid. Sometimes you just have to do it afraid. If I had never picked up the camera, if I had never started a YouTube channel or tried to start a YouTube channel, then I would still be sitting in that place on the couch watching other people live their lives, wondering if I was ever going to get to live my life that way. Wondering, why do I have to choose one or the other? Wondering, what if? And the friend who I'm talking about, she told me that I'm now in the place of becoming, which is where I've been dreaming about it for so long. And now my first real garden is starting to ripen, and pretty soon it'll be overflowing. My first batch of baby chicks are starting to get bigger, and they're moving to a coop soon. And I'm going to have full grown chickens for the first time in my entire life. I'm in the phase of becoming the person that I wanted to be. At 34 years old, mom of 4, you know, I kind of had an idea in my late 20s and early 30s of the person I wanted to be. And that idea grew, and that dream grew, and the hope grew, and the longing grew. But longing is a good thing. Longing means that when I do get it, I'm not going to take it for granted. When I do get it, I will know how much time and thought and work went into getting there. How many times I just did it scared. How many times I pushed away that fear and decided to just push forward and see what happens. One of my videos recently was of us being in we were in Tennessee at the Homestead Festival. And I mean, half of that trip I was scared. You know, my mom and dad came with me and all of my 4 kids, and they took my 4 kids for part of the day, and I would walk around the Homestead Festival by myself. I felt lost. I felt scared. But what did I do? Well, the first day I walked around scared. The second day, I decided that's not what I was gonna do. The second day, I went and I met with Natalie from Hey It's a Good Life. I went and I spoke with Jill, who was there from Whispering Willow Farm. And then, y'all, I felt something in my heart that said, hey, now's your chance. If you're gonna do it, now's when you have to do it. And I was scared, and I wasn't going to stand in line. I wasn't gonna wait around. I was either going to do it or not do it. And so then what happened? I felt that in my head, I felt that in my heart, okay? And I rounded the corner. I think it was like right after I talked to Natalie. I rounded the corner at the Homestead Festival, and I saw Jessica Soward's tent, Roots and Refuge Farm, and it was empty. It had not been empty for days, like for the 2 days. It had not been empty for the entire festival. There was a line out the tent all the time. Like if she was there, there was a line. And at this particular moment, there was no one in line. And I went in and walked up, and I was so scared. I was literally shaking. And right before I got up to her tent, there was a guy who stepped in front of me. Not in like a rude way, but he just got there first. He stepped in front of me, and he approached them because they were sitting kind of behind a like a shelf thing. And he said to them, he said something like, I don't know exactly what you guys do, but you must be doing something right, because this is the first time you have not had a line out your tent. Like, it was something like that. And it just hit me, because I was like, whoa. So the day before, the day one of the event, on day one of the event, I met someone and they were asking me like, who's your inspiration? Why do you want to do this? And I told them that I had been watching Jessica Sowards on Roots and Refuge Farm since like 2018 when we lived in Cyprus. We actually lived in Cyprus. That's where my son was born. And yeah, I remember being there, and it's a very Mediterranean there, and it was extremely hard for me to grow anything. But I remember being very inspired by one of her videos, and I went and I planted a bean or something, and the beans grew, and I was overly ecstatic about that. And then anyway, my point is, I found her channel back in 2018, and this person had never heard of her. And I was just kind of mind blown, and I was like, whoa. Somebody doesn't actually like know who she is. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so that was why I think I felt like I had to do something. Now, granted, that video currently is sitting as like, I think it has like 10 or 15 views, but that could be 10 or 15 people who didn't know who she was before. I'm just saying. Anyway, my point is, sometimes you just have to do it scared, and especially if you feel like it's something coming from God. Now, I am a Christian. That does not mean that you have to be a Christian. I think that we all have our own walk in life and all of that kind of thing, but I personally feel like I get this gut feeling, or this kind of like an idea in my head, and it won't go away. Generally, when I follow that, things work out pretty well, at least for me. So, but this was one of those feelings, and then I heard that guy say that he didn't know who they were, and it all just sort of clicked in my head. And so I leaned over and I was like, look, would you mind? And she said yes. And so I went from someone living in Cyprus being pregnant, watching her videos, and then someone in London, again, probably pregnant. I think I was pregnant with my twins. Pregnant, trying to grow my first garden in what are they called? Grow bags. Trying to grow my first garden in grow bags. Crying when I saw her bring her pigs home. I think she went and got them from Living Traditions Farm, which, again, totally sad story because they're not on YouTube anymore. Another, you know, phenomenal YouTube channel that really inspired me. Living Traditions Homestead was incredible. I think their videos are still up. If you want to go check them out, go check them out. But I went from this person who had all of these dreams and all these ideas and all of these longings and things that I never thought I would get to do. And now, granted, my family has gone through a very traumatic time. But on the flip side of that, we are also becoming the kinds of people who do the things that I've always wanted to do. Does that make sense? And this is nothing like against my ex-husband or anything like that. He gets it. He's all for it. We've talked about this. We're good on good terms and everything. And, you know, it's something that just sort of feels like maybe I'm where I'm supposed to be because I was scared, but I did it anyway. And I will also say I was scared for a long time, especially when it came to my kids getting divorced, separating, coming back to America, all of those things. That took like 3 years. We were out there in England for maybe 5, and maybe the last 2 or 3 of that was pretty rough. And I was hanging on out of fear, I guess. I don't know, but I did it. We did it. And it still makes me sad. It does. But if I go there, I go there, and I can't do that right now. So do it scared. I guess that's my main thing, is you might be scared, but do it scared, because you never know what's on the other side of doing it scared. And being scared or having fear, like I said, is from, well, not from God. And living afraid, okay, so living your life constantly being afraid kind of means that you're also living your life in longing, because you're longing for something that you're afraid to try and get. You're longing for something that you think you would love to have. So you're longing for these things, but you're also too scared to actually go after these things. And so you're kind of, in a way, punishing yourself, sort of. Just do it scared. Just do it scared. You literally never know what's on the other side of just doing it scared. Now, I have to go feed and water my chickens before the sun completely goes down. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me today and all the days that you do. Be safe, be blessed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Hey, friends. Oh. Hey, friends. Welcome back to Roots and Arrows Farm. My name is Tori, and if you're new here, thank you for being here. If you're not new here, thank you for sticking around. It is pretty early in the morning. It's Saturday morning, and we're getting ready for a busy day. But I just wanted to come on here and chat a little bit about mental health. Now, I know that this topic can be a sticky topic to talk about, but yesterday I had what I would consider my first massive panic attack, and it was very difficult to navigate. My throat felt like it was closing up and I couldn't catch a breath of air. And I remember thinking at one point that it might have been better to just not try breathing anymore. Now, I'm not gonna get into like what brought this on or anything, but I just want to say that you're not alone. I have felt incredibly alone, which is interesting because I think I'm surrounded by more people than I have been in years, but it's very scary. Not knowing what the future is going to look like exactly, knowing what I want it to look like, but not being sure if that'll actually happen. Yeah, I was sitting in the chair and I was talking with my mom, and all of my thoughts started going faster than I could think them. I know that sounds so strange, but and then I wasn't even crying at the time. I started crying during the panic attack, but I wasn't even crying. I just couldn't breathe. And it felt like someone was squeezing my chest and my throat at the same time, and my fingers started to get really tingly, and my legs sort of, they didn't, I don't want to say bolted. What did they do? They sort of spasmed, like if you get a cramp. It kind of felt like that. I was still conscious. I didn't lose consciousness. My kids were in the room. My mom ushered my older two upstairs so they wouldn't have to see what was going on. But I say all of that to say that there is hope. And I woke up this morning and I came downstairs for my Bible study, which I try to read a little bit every morning, and even if it's just on my phone. But I picked up my Bible, my physical Bible, and just on the cover of it was Jeremiah 29:11. Just remember that God has a plan, and you might not be able to see it right now. You may not understand the direction that your life is going to go in. I don't. But that doesn't mean that it's not good. It just means that we can't see it yet. Boy, did that take a turn. I came out here to show you guys where the new chicken coop is gonna go, but I did want to do a bit of a garden devotional. So there you have it. That is a little bit of a devotional that I filmed. It's a little bit of a devotional that I filmed a few days ago, tagged into a little bit of a devotional from today, and I hope that you really enjoyed this. If I do more of these garden devotionals, I will put them in the same category, garden devotionals 2025 most likely. I'll label it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the garden devotional, and I'm excited to show you what this coop situation is going to look like when it's all said and done, because I'm very excited to have somewhere for my baby birds to go. Okay, making sure I don't have ants on my feet. So anyway, here's the coop situation as of right now. And this is on June 17th, 2025. I wanted to walk out here and show you this area. This area that I'm standing is soon to be my first chicken coop. And thankfully my dad is able and willing to help me build it. And it is feet from our garden, which is right here. This is pretty much the main part of our garden. Now, when I decided that I wanted to get chickens, it was actually something that I had been thinking about and dreaming about for a very long time. I remember when I was pregnant with my first son, who's 6 now, I wanted to have chickens, but we lived in an apartment in a different country, and it was a complex sort of place, and you weren't allowed to have anything besides a cat or a dog, really, as far as bigger animals. So then we moved from there. We moved to London. From there we moved to England, and it just really wasn't conducive. Uh-oh. Hey guys, editing Tori here. I am finishing up the video that you just watched and about to post it, but I realized that I did not really do an outro. In fact, I don't even think I finished that train of thought. But previously in my life, I have not had the opportunity, the place, the infrastructure, the help, anything like that to have chickens or anything else in the homesteading world. So this is my first step in really being able to say, yes, I take care of animals. I, am soon going to be collecting eggs. I am moving in the direction of life that I've always kind of wanted to move into. So anyway, I just wanted to come on here and kind of finish that thought and say thank you again for being here. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments where you're from and what phase of the whole process of homesteading that you're in. Are you still dreaming of it? Have you just started? Have you been doing it for years? Yeah, all the things. And if you have a YouTube channel, link that below as well. I would really love to reach out to you and check out your channel. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me today, yesterday, last Saturday, and all the days that you do. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I bless you guys. Until next time.